Hello and thanks for watching this video on our Manitowoc Lutheran summer workouts and sports-specific contact days. What I have for you today is just some information about what you can expect if you're planning on coming to any summer workouts or any strength and conditioning workouts in the mornings, or if your coach is having a sport-specific contact day. Of course, if you have any questions, always important to go ahead and contact me. I'm Mr. Loberger, Athletic Director, or maybe your individual coach would have any answers to questions for you as well. To start with, just to give you an idea of what we're going to be covering here, just a little brief overview of keeping yourself and your team safe. Some of the COVID-19 symptoms and self-monitoring, which is something I'm guessing is becoming a regular part of the world and something everybody is pretty familiar with, but still worth going over. Then just talk a little bit about some of the information you're going to need to provide the school before coming back to regular practices for the school year. We're going to talk a little bit about what you do if you have some symptoms of COVID-19 or are exposed to someone that you know has tested positive, what our plan is for strength and conditioning, what it's going to look like here at Manitowoc Lutheran, a review of some of the risks associated with this virus, a little bit of a chat about the difference between an open gym and a contact day. And then finally, yes, we are coming back with our summer workout schedule, our strength and conditioning. So to give you an idea, probably want to preview all of this with the understanding there has been some research that has gone on through the state since this started. All of our high school athletes were asked to participate in the research, and one of the big pieces of this research was just to assess the health. Mental and physical health of our student athletes. And over the course of the last few months, there has been some significant findings that stress and anxiety and things like that have really been at an all-time high in our high schoolers. And we have been encouraged by the National Federation of High Schools and specifically by the WIAA to get kids back together, begin sports and summer workouts, and to try and get these kids back in contact with each other, and yet trying to do it with as safe as possible situation. And so for that reason, we're starting this up, and we're going to be following the guidelines as closely as we can and as well as they fit our situation at our school. So to start with, obviously things that we want to do to keep ourselves safe and our teammates and coaches safe. We're going to practice physical distancing as much as we can at school and obviously outside of that. We're going to have hand sanitizer all over the place. Try and use that regularly. It'll be one of the things you'll be asked to do upon arriving at school each day. Face masks are a great idea. We're not requiring, but definitely encouraging face masks, especially if we're indoors. That can have a positive impact there. Obviously, we want to avoid contact with people who are sick, or especially if we know they have COVID symptoms, and understand that while you may feel safe and you're not concerned, it's also a lot about the people around you that you come into contact with. So some of the COVID symptoms, this is a longer and more thorough list, but we're going to be asking you guys to monitor your own temperatures at this time. So anything over 100 degrees would be a symptom. Chills, cough, sore throat, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, loss of taste or smell, runny nose, nasal congestion, headaches, severe fatigue and exhaustion, and muscle pain. If you're like me, this sounds like you just woke up in the morning. But obviously you know yourself, and if you have this in an unusual way, these are symptoms. And if you have them, a quick little text or a phone call into your coach, let them know, our athletic trainer as well, and then don't show up. That's the big thing. Stay home, wait until you feel better. If your parents decide they want you to get tested, go ahead and do that. But for sure, avoid coming to school if you have these types of symptoms, and let us know too, because if there's something that we need to be tracking or we need to share with your classmates, we want to be able to let them know if there's anything going on. All right, as far as back to school goes, now of course this doesn't apply until the sports seasons start. However, it's important to really emphasize this at this time, because especially for those freshmen and juniors, getting your exams, your physical exams, may be a little more challenging with the backup at some of our healthcare facilities at the time. So we were able to get in pretty quickly, but make sure you're getting those done sooner rather than later. So sophomores and seniors, you're just doing that WIAA agreement and the Holy Family and Manitowoc Lutheran High School agreement form. Freshmen and juniors, typically you also have to add in the physical exam and the baseline concussion tests. So if you need to get those done, make sure you're keeping your eyes open. I'll be meeting with the trainer and we'll be setting up a schedule for you to come in and take those as well. And everything that you need is on the Manitowoc Lutheran High School website, the athletic page. And there's kind of a link, and you just kind of follow the steps through to make sure you have everything done that you need. There's a video to watch on there as well. So what happens if you get some symptoms or you are in contact with someone who has some symptoms? Well, here it's laid out. First of all, let the coaching or training staff know. They may want to talk to you and find out what your symptoms are, which is kind of a virtual screening. They talk to you about it, see what's going on. They may say, stay clear for a while, or boy, it might be a really great idea to go ahead and get a test. You got a lot of those symptoms and you're not doing well. Obviously, until you feel better, or if a test was suggested, we would say, don't come to school. Stay away from the team, stay away from the workouts until you are either better or you have test results that say you're okay. And the same thing kind of goes if you've been in contact with someone that tested positive. You may want to hang away for a little bit and kind of see where it goes. Maybe a quick test will let everybody know that you're clear and can come back to school. But at any rate, what we're trying to do is say, listen, if you have symptoms or if you've been in contact with someone who tested positive, stay clear of the workouts during the summer until someone has cleared you, a doctor or someone in the medical field, or you've been a significant amount of time without symptoms. All right, so when you get to school, what do you expect? First of all, we're limiting the facilities. So we're going to kind of have one in and out of the commons, and then same thing, only using, if we're in the weight room, only one in and out there. There won't be any access to locker rooms. So make sure you come changed to work out. Bring extra clothes or less, whatever you need as far as, weather-wise, and indoor, outdoor shoes, all that stuff is going to be something you're going to have accessible without access to locker rooms or anything like that. A big and important one is having your own water bottle or bottles if you'd like to drink a lot of water, and make sure they're clearly identified as yours. We want to make sure everybody's not piling them up on a big pile and then picking them out and sharing them. We want to make sure we're doing a really good job of everybody having their own water to drink. We would have, I think there's one refill station available in the commons, but we really don't want to be using that at this time if we can help it. However, the bathrooms will be available, but again, we don't want to be sharing anything at this time water-wise. And then when you come to school, the first thing you're going to want to do is either go to the commons if it's raining or bad weather, or someone will be outside with a table. And the first thing you do is go check in there so that we can take attendance of who's there in case someone were to test positive. We would be able to know who was in contact with them. There'll be a few questions for you to answer that, are you running a fever? Do you have a cold or a cough or anything like that? And obviously, if the answer is yes to any of those, we would just ask that you wouldn't participate. We're going to be asked to sanitize your hands when you first arrive. and then you will be told where you're going to be headed. Some people will be inside the weight room, some will be outside, as I talked about earlier, and we'll recap. So that's kind of how that's going to go. We're going to try and keep everything a little bit more under control so that we can be cleaning and sanitizing between workouts and things. All right, as far as the weight room goes, that's probably the toughest one because we're a little more confined as far as summer goes. So the workout availability will really depend on the risk level. Manitowoc County is evaluated on a weekly basis and put in one of three categories: high, moderate, or low, and we're going to make adjustments accordingly. You know, anticipate, okay, so we're starting out, let's say we're at the high risk level. We're going to have 9 kids in there. That's it, in the weight room. And they're going to have that the first section, and then there's going to be one more session for another 9 kids. So yeah, we might not get everybody through, and there may be some alternate opportunities, but we're going to be following all of the expectations as we have been asked to. Then when you get in there, you'll be assigned, this is your equipment to use. You're going to use only that. If you need something else, you'll have to talk to the coach and see if it can be arranged so that at the end of the workout, you can sanitize your equipment. And then there may be a rotation and you go to a new part, but everything should be sanitized between your use and the next person. And then at this point, we're still encouraging face masks in the weight room. It may be that you start breathing a little heavier down there, and we want to control things as much as possible. As far as conditioning goes, that's going to be outside. We're going to make sure there's physical distancing. Where as groups get if we get a little bit larger group, we'll even split the groups up into smaller groups while keeping physical distancing inside of each of those groups. Again, make sure you have your own water, and then make sure you're paying close attention to the areas that you are assigned or the groups you are being put into, so that we can try and make sure we're following the rules as closely as possible. After conditioning, we would again encourage you to sanitize your hands. They'll be available throughout as well. If you're inside, make sure you're leaving through the right doors. Don't think, oh, I wonder what the hallway looks like. I heard they painted it. I'm going to go check it out. We're going to try and limit facility access as much as possible. We're not going to get together and cheer Lancers at the end of our workouts. We might do it, but we're going to do it from a distance. I'm just trying to avoid that closer contact. We're asking kids not to hang out after and be on school property. Go your separate ways. Stay away from, keep your social distancing as much as possible. And one of the big recommendations that's been all over is when you're done with this workout, get home and get in the shower. If there's a chance you came across something or ran into somebody that had something, getting in the shower and cleaning up can be a saver for that. All right, some other additional reminders. As far as access to the athletic trainer, the plan is to have our athletic trainer available during these workout times. And then if you need some time with her outside of an actual injury during that time, we're going to be asking that you set up an appointment. We're going to be trying to schedule this out so that our trainer doesn't have multiple people. If you've seen that training room, it's pretty small, and we want to make sure that we can keep it to one athlete in there at a time, which is probably just a good idea to do at all times anyway, but we're really emphasizing that. So if you're planning on seeing the trainer, make sure you set up and schedule a time so that we don't have a bunch of people showing up thinking they can get some athletic training all at the same time. If there's anything urgent, the trainer may, of course, take care of that on site, or we can always contact an emergency situation or get parents to take it to where you need to go. If people are causing issues as far as the guidelines, obviously we'll just ask you to leave. We're taking this very seriously and would ask everyone to be respectful of that. And then and we're keeping visitors out of the school. So And this kind of goes into maybe some contact days too. If volleyball or basketball is going on, we're really asking that we're keeping people out of the building. Only athletes would be in for those things as well. All right, obviously you've heard a lot about the risks of COVID, so just to emphasize maybe the first point here, this out of season activity is really voluntary. If you're uncomfortable, communicate that with your coach. They're not going to hold it against you. I think we all understand there are varying levels of comfortability with all of this. Would love to, obviously coaches are going to love to see you and get together and have some fun with you, but you got to do what is best for you and your family situation. So understand there are some risks involved with this whole process. So you got to make a good informed decision. And then trying to clear up a couple of things. Some coaches may be scheduling some open gyms or contact days. Probably a good idea to understand the difference. An open gym is a situation in which a coach is not doing any coaching. It's just literally an open gym, all free play kind of thing. So this is typically guys get together, somebody opens the gym up for them, and they're coming in and playing. At this point, at least in June and going into the beginning of July, the risk level in Manitowoc does not allow really for us to do that. So we're not going to start scheduling any open gyms. This would start more with contact days. And so contact days are more like a practice type of setting. A coach is in there working with his or her team and working on certain aspects of the game. Again, the numbers that are allowed in the gym are going to be determined by the risk level of Manitowoc County. And same thing as far as what those practices look like. If we're at the highest level of risk, that's going to be a lot of just individual stuff. There won't be scrimmaging or team things. We're encouraged not to even have, two guys passing a basketball back and forth when we're at that highest risk level. So it's going to look a lot different than a normal type of practice, but as those risk levels get a little better, moderate or low, a little more scrimmaging type stuff could be available, or maybe even some open gyms to get more game simulation going. But for the present time, this is kind of where we're at and what we're doing, and we're going to do our best to follow the guidelines that are set up for us. All right, as far as the summer strength and conditioning schedule goes then, we'll be starting July 1st. July 1st and 3rd, and obviously coming back then the next week, we're going to go 8 to 10, which means we're going to have one, an inside group and an outside group, and then they'll switch. And again, if you can't get into the weight room for one of those two groups, it may be that coaches will set up some alternate times for the weight room because there is a limited number that we can get in there. And again, as that risk level changes, that number may change as well. But for right now, we're anticipating getting 18 kids, 9 in the first session and 9 in the second session. And like I said, your coaches may say, hey, any varsity basketball guys that want to come in and lift, Mr. Loberger is going to be available, and this is the time that he's going to be there. But that'll be more of an individual coach type of situation. So I hope that answers all of your questions. Again, if you have anything else, make sure you email me at sloberger@mlhslancers.org. Give me a phone call, a text, any of that would be great. Be happy to try and answer stuff as best I can. Our goal is to get kids back and get them going on some physical activity, but to trying to do that as safely as possible. All right. Look forward to seeing everybody July 1st, and God's blessings, and stay safe. Thanks.